Hey guys, this is John from US Dash Camera. Today I got a review on the new Blackvue DR750 2-channel LTE. So this is pretty exciting because Blackvue's been teasing this camera for quite a while now, a couple of years actually, and they did post a blog about why it took so long. Obviously, you can see here 4G LTE means it does have the cellular connection. For full disclosure, Blackvue did send this out to me for review, so I'd like to thank them for sending this out. They have been very supportive of my channel, so I really appreciate that. Of course, if you guys are interested in this camera, I will provide affiliate links down in the description. Also, coupon codes from Blackboxmycar that'll get you 5% off your purchase. So check that out down in the description. So if you guys follow Blackvue dash cameras, you know they are pretty popular because they have a really advanced parking mode. Past few years they have had a cloud feature, but you needed to have a wireless hotspot in your car, and depending on what kind of car you had, if your car did have a wireless hotspot, it wasn't necessarily on when you were parked and the engine was off, so it was sort of complicated and sort of a hassle that I personally didn't even end up using it. But now this solves that issue and adds the built-in 4G LTE. So this is going to be just like the DR750S 2-channel model. It's basically the same camera, but I'll run down on the main specs and we'll talk about some of the features that would be covered in the original review of the 750S model. So just like the original 750S, this is 1080p front and rear, as it is a 2-channel system. It does have Sony Starvis image sensors in both lenses, or both cameras. Of course, it has the built-in GPS that will show your speed and location if you choose to use that. Of course, it's going to have the Wi-Fi with a smartphone app that many people are familiar with if they've been using Blackvue dash cameras. And of course, we'll talk about these features more in depth in this review. Check down in the description for some bookmarks for different sections of this review. Of course, it's going to have the great advanced parking mode, which is going to be a big portion of this review and how it works with the cloud now. So I didn't want to cover too much of the features that I covered in the original review, so I'll post links to both the 750S and 900S reviews down in the description if you want to see a little more detail on some of that stuff. Of course, as Blackvue is known for its audio alerts, such as when it turns on or switches to parking mode, a audio alert informs you of that switch.
An impact was detected during parking mode.
And yes, you can turn those audio alerts off, because that's one of the questions I always get. Now, due to how many features this camera has, I'm not going to cover installation, but I will provide a link down in the description to Blackboxmycar, where they have a very extensive guide for installing dash cameras and hardwiring them also. Now when you open this box, the first thing you're going to see is some serial numbers. Now I removed that just so people couldn't see it in the video, but it's going to give you a default password and also the information you're going to need to register your camera for the cloud. If you compare this to previous models, here I got the DR900S still. You can see the 750 LTE model is quite large. It's pretty much bigger in every dimension, and it also does have a lot more vents. So that should help with cooling. That's one of the complaints people have had, including me, with Blackvue cameras, is they have tended to overheat more than some of their competition like Thinkware. Just to get the footage out of the way, as I said, this is pretty much the 750S, just with LTE. So the 1080p footage is not going to be any different as far as I know, and some people are going to think the video quality isn't that great. During the daytime, I think it's more than acceptable. You can read license plates from cars close to you, and overall the picture looks decent. Now the night footage does suffer. It's not going to be the worst night quality out there, but it's not the best either. The Sony Starvis image sensors are definitely going to help, and a lot of people pointed out that at night the 750 series looked better than the 900 series of Blackvue cameras. What really matters to me is in parking mode, any car that backs into you is going to be close enough where you can read their license plate. So the parking mode is the same great parking mode Blackvue has had for several years. I'm not going to go too in-depth with this. I would suggest checking out my 900S review down in the description, because I did go in depth quite a bit with the parking mode. So of course you're going to get the buffered motion detection, and what that means is when it's in parking mode, it's not saving footage until it senses motion. And then once it senses motion, it saves 5 seconds prior and then 15 or 20 seconds or so after, or until the motion stops. It does also offer a time-lapse mode that has buffered impact detection, so it's constantly saving 1 frame per second. But then if it senses an impact with a gyroscope, then it will save a 30-second clip in regular frame rate. So now parking mode is going to require the camera being hardwired or connected to some sort of always-on battery. There's a couple options out there, at least 3. I only have 2 of them to show you, but the first one is the PowerMagic Pro. This has been around for at least 5 years. Basically you hardwire this to your fuse box, and then you connect the camera's 12-volt socket to the, or plug to this one's socket, and after 5 minutes of inactivity, when it senses you haven't been moving, then it switches to parking mode. I really love that it has a timer, because some cameras with parking mode still don't offer a timer, where I don't want my camera to just indefinitely record in parking mode, because I have 2 vehicles and sometimes one of them will sit for days on end, and I don't want it draining my battery down to 12 volts or so every time. The other option we do have is this very expensive battery. I believe it's called PowerMagic Ultra Battery B124. What this does is hardwires to your fuse box, or you can plug it into a 12-volt socket. If you hardwire it, it gets 7 or 9 amps of charging. I'll just put a subtitle to correct myself there, but it can offer quite a few hours of recording. It says more than 24 hours of recording based on a dash camera that uses 3 watt-hours. Now that is going to vary depending on different situations. Again, it's a very expensive option, but from my understanding, some cars that have issues with accessories connecting to the fuse box, this is an option to get around that. You would just have to use a 12-volt socket. And another reason some people use them, like I do, is I live in a very cold climate. In the winter, sometimes that low voltage protection isn't enough when it's below 0 Fahrenheit, because it might cut off in the middle of the night and still drop below 12 volts. And I have been left with a dead battery even though I had low voltage protection. So I like using these batteries. So now setting up the Wi-Fi and Cloud is pretty easy. I think it's one of the easier setups that I've used. Now, I cover this with tape, but this is where you're going to find your SSID, the name of the Wi-Fi, and the password. The password is only like 8 or 10 characters, combination of numbers and letters, so that'll always be your default password. And when you start up the app and find the Blackvue in the list of Wi-Fi options, you just type in the password, and then from there you can get into the camera settings. You can change resolution, the parking mode options. Of course, you can view a live feed. Viewing the live feed helps you set your camera angles during installation. And of course, you can download any of your video files that you need to save wirelessly to your phone. So since this does have LTE, of course you're going to need a SIM card. Now Blackvue says they accept, or the device accepts AT&T or T-Mobile. I did test a Cricket SIM card and that worked fine. I did try my Freedom Pop SIM card, which I did use while testing the DR900S for cloud features, but that did not work. But I am going to be switching to T-Mobile, because T-Mobile does offer a prepaid 2 GB data plan that's only $10 a month. So this is the cheapest plan I could find. The Cricket plan I was using was for a work tablet, and that was about $35 a month, I believe, for 20 gigs, but that's way more than you would need for this. You're not going to be transferring a whole lot of data unless you, for whatever reason, are watching live streams all the time. For most users, something like this T-Mobile card is going to be the best value. So to put the SIM card in, it's going to be just like inserting a SIM card into a phone. So this little tool does come with the camera. So we pull that out, and you can see it's just a standard nano SIM card. So let's crack that out here. And you'll have to make sure there's one little corner that is different than the other corners, so the hole is going to be on the outside. Alright, there we go. So I'm going to plug it in, and then there's going to be a little bit of setup. As I said before, you can use the QR tag to register your camera with your Blackvue account, but you do also have to put in some of your SIM card information, so I'll show that real quick. Now the first time you put in your SIM card, it's going to ask you to activate it.
Blackvue for your safe driving. Starting normal recording. Please activate your SIM card.
So that's where we're going to have to go into the menu and activate it so it can receive service. To activate your SIM card, you're going to want to connect to the camera with Wi-Fi, and then from the main menu, when you're connected to the camera, on the top right there'll be a little SIM card icon, and there you'll be able to type in your APN, which is the access point network or name. So the way I found it for T-Mobile is I literally just googled T-Mobile APN, and it was able to give me the name of the APN. Now I didn't need to type in a username and password. It doesn't seem like that's necessary. Now of course, one of the coolest features of the cloud is you can get notifications when someone impacts your car. So here I hit the window hard enough that it shocked the gyroscope, and then it did send me a notification that it sensed an impact. With that notification I can see a screenshot taken about when it happened, and then of course you can view a live stream. From there you can save it to your cloud storage, but it also has the option for that auto upload. Now you have the option to turn on other notifications, such as when your car is switching from normal recording to parking mode. You can also set it to tell you when your car is going too fast, or if there's an impact while you're driving. Now that of course isn't going to be useful for everyone, but for fleets or for parents who like to keep an eye on their kids driving, then that could become pretty useful. But for me, I just kept it on parking mode impacts only. Now one concern many users had when I reviewed the 900S was that the default setting actually allows other Blackvue Cloud users to view your live feed. It's a little creepy. I think a lot of people would agree with me. You can look up on the map and see all of the other Blackvue Cloud users. Now the default I said was to have your live stream public to other cloud users, but as far as I can tell, because of all the outrage, they do have it set so you aren't publicly streaming by default. But I would suggest checking just in case, because I was able to live stream a couple people's streams and it does alert them that a live stream has started, so I'm not sure if they're aware, but some of these seem like an invasion of privacy, which is why I am blurring this out. You know, I only did this just to try it, and I thought it was sort of creepy. Now back to the cloud features though. You can even change your camera settings from the cloud as if you were using your ordinary Wi-Fi connection in the app. Another real cool feature they added is you can do updates over the cloud. In the past you always had to take your memory card out and put it in your computer or Mac and save the update file, or from the app you would have to download it to your phone and then transfer it to the camera itself. Now, anywhere in the world, you can just tell it to update and download straight from the cellular network, and then it'll reboot while you're not even near the camera. So that's a really cool feature. So there are going to be several different plans for the Blackvue Cloud accounts. Now the free one, which most people are going to use, allows you to have one dash camera with one user per account. It is limited to only 10 minutes of live view a day and 100 remote view video playbacks and downloads a month with 5 gigs of storage, but I think that's plenty for the average consumer. Cloud storage files do expire after 90 days. In addition to the push notifications and live GPS, You do actually have two-way voice communication, which I did test with the DR900S. Now with the smart plan, it's going to start at $12 a month for the first camera and $9 per additional camera, up to 3 cameras. The main difference is you're going to get unlimited live view and unlimited downloads and video playbacks a month. Cloud storage is the same per dash camera, but the file expiration is 365 days instead of 90 days. Now the fleet plan, that's going to be for big businesses, starts at $25 a month for the first camera and $15 per additional camera, up to 999 cameras. There's a whole slew of different options you can use for users. As you can see, there's master account, submasters, and users per dash camera. Of course, it's unlimited views and video playback and downloads, but with this plan you do get 15 gigabytes per dash camera, and it does have additional features such as the email notifications and multi-view or multi-live view, so I'm assuming that allows managers to view several cameras at the same time. You can also have GPS tracking as far back as 90 days. So that's going to be for businesses that have large fleets. So guys, overall I think this camera is really awesome, but it's not for everyone, of course. A lot of people are going to complain that the video quality is not up to par with other 2-channel systems these days, but no other camera is going to offer this 4G LTE connection with push notifications for impacts and the live feed of your front and rear camera from anywhere in the world, as long as your car has cellular service and you have cellular service. So if that's what you're really looking for, you don't really have any other option. I know ThinkWare has a cloud feature that's definitely behind Blackvue, but currently it still requires a wireless hotspot. They have not offered a 4G LTE option yet. I'm on the fence about what I would want to use because I don't know if I really feel I need push notifications to my phone. I drive a 12-year-old car most of the time, so it's not a huge concern. I don't have a really expensive car, and I just in general check to see, or when I walk around my car at a parking lot, I glance and see if there's any impacts or anything, just because it sounds like I'm a little paranoid, but it's just because I've been using dash cameras with parking mode for over 5 years, so it's sort of a habit. So guys, I hope this video was helpful. If it was, I'd appreciate it if you hit like and subscribe, of course, for more dash camera reviews. If you're interested in purchasing this camera, you can check the description below for affiliate links and coupon codes from Blackboxmycar for 5% off your purchase. So check those out down below. As usual, drive safe, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.